Hi guys, this is Fleer, and this video will be about the M4A3E2 Jumbo assault tank, which in this game is labeled as a heavy tank. I kinda disagree on that. I think it's still a medium tank. Well, it's on the heavier side of that medium tank spectrum. It only weighs about 37.8 tons, and it does get a respawn, unlike all the other heavy tanks in the game. So it's a bit of a hybrid tank between a medium and a heavy tank. About 2 weeks ago, I watched a video on YouTube saying that American tanks with the 75mm M3 gun couldn't do anything against the Tiger. And the tank that showcased this thing, or this occurrence, was this tank. And while I watched that video, I thought, well, I completely disagree with this. Because in the Jumbo, you're anything but defenseless against the Tiger. It's all about how you use the tank and what you do with it. Of course, if you sit still at about 1000 meters away from the Tiger at its front and you shoot with this cannon, you won't do anything to it. You can't harm the Tiger. But if you play like I play when I use the Jumbo, you will cause chaos and a great deal of harm on the Tiger if you use the Jumbo right. And today I'm going to do two things. I'm going to review the tank as a whole in general, and before we do that, we are going to have a look at the armor on the tank, and after that I'll show you a series of clips where I deal with tires the way I like to deal with them. And if you're having troubles dealing with tires, this video will hopefully be an inspiration for you on how you can deal with tires when you find yourself in a duel with them in game. If you're only interested in seeing how to deal with tires, just click the square here and you'll get transferred to that part of the video. And if you're interested in the armor layout and me explaining why you have an upper hand against Tigers in the Jumbo, just stick around and we'll get right next to it. So here's the armor layout. As you can see here, it states that the Jumbo only has 38.1mm of armor thickness. However, I do believe that this is only the upper layer of the upper glacis on the hull of the tank. I do believe that the front hull here is actually 101mm thick. So this acts as a kind of a spaced armor on the front of the tank, and it's also quite well sloped. So this tank actually bounces a lot of shells. They have to hit your machine gun port or this bit here, which is less armored than the rest of the hull here. A Tiger might also knock you out if they hit you here or right under the gun mantlet, but this bit is still 150 roughly millimeters thick, so it's not easy to penetrate this tank anywhere frontally. You have the gun shield or the gun mantlet, which is 177 millimeters thick. You have the cheeks on the turret, which are impenetrable at this rank. You can't get knocked out frontally by a shot here. It's not possible. The only weak spot that this tank has is the turret roof and the upper bit on the turret, which is fairly thin, only 60 millimeters thick. And you also have the commander's cupola. If you get hit there, the shell will explode against the back plate of the commander's hatch or cupola, and then after that shards will just explode down into the tank, igniting armor and fuel tanks and what have you. But other than that, you're more or less impenetrable frontally. against most tanks that you will encounter in the game. So how do you deal with tires in this thing? Well, if you face a tire and you park at about 1000 meters and you start shooting at it and you try to knock it out that way, you will have a very hard time knocking out the tire with this gun. It's not great for long range engagements, so what you need to do is that you need to work with your armor and the speed of the tank. It does easily above 30 kph on unleveled ground. So use that to your advantage and go fast and try to close the distance to the Tiger or the Panther or what have you. Any tank that you face that are difficult to knock out at 1000 meters. Close the distance and try to get around them and knock them out in the way I'm going to show you now. So in this clip we've been held up by a Tiger who's in a hold down position right across this ridge, on this ridge here. And what I first do is that I try to track him, but I failed to do so, and before I get to reload I'm right next to him and try to plant a shot into the side of the tank, but it all depends on the angle of which you're shooting at. So instead I go around him, I aim for the side of the turret because the turret is flat, and then I fire at the side, but he's angled, and here I pause and I wait for the right angling, and then boom, dead. That's how you knock out the tire. What you need to do is to go YOLO on their butt. Now the next clip we're going to see does have some audio in Swedish, so I apologize for that, but since I say what I think it's a fitting addition to the clip, since I comment what is happening at the moment and what I feel about when I do what I do. So yeah, I left it in the clip, so enjoy. När jag gör ett move och rör mig, då kommer jag bli ihjälskjuten. Jag ska slå ut den här tigerns kanon. Om jag kan.
Yes. Skjut en panter.
Så, cannon barrel out. Nu kör vi.
Latchade ut honom.
Fan, med jumbo, man måste verkligen spela down and dirty. Sparka folk på fötterna och sen knä dem mellan benen. För att få kills. Så jävla skönt. Nu sköt jag sköt precis ut en tigers kanon. Och så flankar jag honom. Because that's how you do it. Så, nu kan ditt turret stå still, tack. Fy fan. Vilket jävla asshole, ja. Okej. Men så tar man en tiger i jumbon. Möt upp i duell, skjut ut kanonen och sen assaultar du bara. Och så kör du runt han, skjuter honom i sidan. Och om du inte får en one-shot kill då åker du runt och tar ut han med hjälp av eld. But if you dislike playing dirty like I did during those two examples of gameplay, you can always do like this and knock them out the old-fashioned way. Go into an extreme flanking maneuver. I've spotted a tiger here and I've engaged him at very long range, and I will never hurt him at ranges above 500 meters to the front. So I try to close the distance, scan it for targets, and hello, there's a tiger. And any shot at this kind of distance, at 90-degree angle to the side of a tiger, is more or less a killing blow. Like you saw there, 3 times. did I penetrate him with no problem. The Jumbo's speed and ability are great, but perhaps the armor is the best thing, and we're gonna have a closer look at an example, or a prime example, on just how effective the frontal hull armor on the Jumbo is in this next clip, and I've added fitting music to the occasion. So enjoy, guys. It does take a little while until the action really starts, but please count the shots I take, and do mind that the cannons that are shooting at me are 88s. And also, do note the pile of rubble I'm standing behind, and that pile does actually protect my weaker parts on the hull from taking fire.
Jag kan inte få upp min kokosnöt. Alla sätt jag prövat på har varit fel. Jag högg i med yxan och blev stel. Bordet i schackparketten sprack, men nöten den är hel. Far, jag kan inte få upp min kokosnöt. Nej, inte ens med hammare och spik. Var vägg nu har små gropar här och var. Det är bara kokosnöten som är sig. Det är bara kokosnöten som är sig lik. Allt det andra verkar mera kalabalik. Minns du flygeln, far? Glöm det helt bra. Det är bara kokosnöten som är sig lik. Far, jag kan inte få upp min kokosnöt. Jag försöker rösta den emot en dörr. Hur jag tänkte, gjorde jag något fel? Dörren inte komma bakom min, men nöten den är här. Jag kan inte få upp min kokosnöt, trots att den gav muren ur min liv. När du henne ser, så tror jag att du led. Det är bara kokosnöten som är sig lik. Det är bara kokosnöten som är sig lik. Allt det andra verkar illa gjort mosaik. Mammas nos är grann, kakorna försvann. Det är bara kokosnöten som är sig lik. Med nitroglycerin. När jag laddat mycket noga vet, bort jag sprang sen så det pang, men nöten den var het. Far, jag kan inte få ut min kokosnöt. Jag känner inte till någon springteknik. Vårt hus, om du ser, det står där inte med. Det är bara kokosnöten som är sig lik. Det är bara kokosnöten som är sig lik. Allt det andra verkar mera på romani. Röjningen blir lätt. Det enklaste man sett. Det är bara kokosnöten som är sig
lik. Yeah. I'm sorry for you who don't know Swedish, but that was a song made by Pavel Rummel that tells the story of a little boy who has just gotten a coconut from the store, and no matter what he does, he can't pry it open, not even with dynamite. So I thought it was fitting. So anyway, enough of this. I think you get the picture. It's the Jumbo can stand a beating, and that was 3 tigers firing at me for about 4 minutes, and they couldn't knock me out. And while they were shooting at me, my whole team got the chance to come up at their side and to knock them out eventually. So we won the game that way. I didn't kill the tigers, but my teammates did. So that was great. Alright, so in this next clip we'll see how well the armor works once more, and how speed and mobility might save the game. So I watched backwards, and I could see that there was a Sherman who had established contact with enemy tanks. So I know that there are tanks on the other side of this ridge. So I kind of sneak up to see what's on the other side. Can't see anything to the left. Oh, to the right there be tigers. They have positioned themselves in one of the worst spots tigers can position themselves in, between two hills, and they're pretty close. So I'm kind of doubting that my tank will actually be able to fight these tigers from the hill, because I'm taking a lot of damage. So I think that, yeah, maybe I should stay up here just to grab their attention, so that my flank on the right might be able to move up, but that didn't happen. So instead I scan for targets. I find this tiger. I try to detrack him so I can run up and knock him out. But I lose sight of him, and all of a sudden he's gone. And there he is. I catch a glimpse of him, and I can see that he's moving over to me. So my response to that is that, okay, although being close to tiger is a good thing in this tank, I don't want to be circling around a tiger on top of a ridge, because that would give the rest of the tigers clear shots on my flank and my engine. So I decide to flank the tiger, who is trying to assault me. And sure enough, there he is, assaulting the position he last saw me from. So a clear shot at the side. I aim for the hammer racks, and one shot later he's dead. So that was the first tiger. And I spot this Panzer IV, who's trying to support his tiger teammates. And I'm a little bit surprised of how long it takes to knock this guy out. He's really resilient, and it seems like it's a weird angle or something like that for my shots, because I can't knock him out, and eventually he makes it back to safety. But that leaves me at a very good spot to start the attack on the tigers, because I believe that I have my left flank at this point covered from the rest of the M4s that have been moving up with me on my right side. So I start peppering the first tiger here. He's at a slight angle, so I have a hard time knocking him out, and also you can see that there were no ammo rounds in his ammo rack, so the effort to knock him out with one single shot was fruitless. So I make a bit of a mistake. I fire at the leading vehicle, but the number 2 tiger doesn't seem to mind. He has a lot of things to worry about at his 12 o'clock, so I can stay here. So this is more or less, or it has been, a prime example on how not to play tiger tanks. You don't want to get caught up close with a bunch of M4 Shermans. They will just circle you around and stay out of your line of fire and knock you out. So I have a bit of a derp moment here. I think I can climb that rock, but I couldn't. And my teammates, they assault the enemy cap, while I suspect that our cap will get capped before we get to their cap. So I return to my base, and this is a while later. I can see that our base has indeed gotten capped, or it's under the process of being capped, so I try to make my way back to my own base to defend it, and I spot this weird hull out there in the distance. I can see that it's a Panther, and at first I thought that that was a knocked out tank, so I just fired a shot, and since I missed, I thought that the tank had been knocked out already. But then all of a sudden the turretless tank fired. So I stopped, I slammed the brake, and I gave him 2 rounds and knocked out the tank. And there we can see fire coming out from our cap circle, so I know that there's at least 1 tank that has machine guns. And I'm guessing that the tank in our cap circle might be some kind of tank that has machine guns, so it's probably a Tiger or a Panzer IV. So I move up. I see here that it's a Tiger. He hasn't seen me yet, so I fire 1 shot, and before he can turn around his turret, I knock him out with 1 shot to the ammo rack. So that was an easy kill, but a crucial kill in order to win the game, because if they succeed in capping this circle, we've lost the game. And I'm very fortunate that the last tank in the cap circle just rolled up in front of me, and that it was a Panzer IV and nothing tougher than that. Let's say a Panther or something like that. But from here on out, nothing really happens. I decap our own cap circle and I recap it, and after that my tank is a bit too damaged to take part in the last battle on the other side of the map. So that was pretty much it for me, but I really like the Jumbo. This tank can do anything. And oh yeah, one more thing. If you're into tank history, like I am, I'm a real tank history buff, and you want to read more about this tank, I've written a short article about the history behind the tank, so check that out if you're into tank history in the video description. And I hope you guys have gotten some ideas on how to play this thing and how to beat Tigers in the game, because the Jumbo isn't useless as a tank. It's really darn good, and yeah, you can basically use it to almost anything. But it does have one great weakness, and that is when you try this kind of tactic, the Tiger tactic, against Panthers. They have the mobility to turn with you, and yeah, you might get into a lot of trouble. But on the other hand, the only way you're gonna knock out a Panther with this thing or this tank is to try to go around it and hit it from the side. So you need a great deal of luck to knock one out. So I think that's gonna be it for this review on the Jumbo. As always, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you guys around.